Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Now in this video I want to talk about something a little different than normal. I want to talk about right to repair legislation. Now for those of you who don't know, right to repair is a series of policies that would require tech companies to publish the repair manuals to their electronic products, which would allow third-party repair shops and technicians to repair those devices. Now, right to repair has become quite a big issue, especially in the last year and a half now. Particularly because of it's become so blatant, some of the anti-repair policies by many tech companies, most notably Apple. Now, I do suspect, while it's not really a confirmed thing, the theory is that the reason why these anti-repair practices, which do end up shortening the lifespan of these devices, is to encourage planned obsolescence. Now, for those of you who don't know, planned obsolescence is the idea that companies design things to fail earlier than they normally would, so the consumer is forced to buy a new device every so often, a lot more often than they would normally. And a lot of these anti-repair practices is basically an attempt to prevent consumers from repairing their old devices and just get them to buy a new one. Now, some of the creators that I've been following, particularly on this, there's Louis Rossmann of Rossmann Repair Group. There's Jessa Jones of iPad Rehab, and there's several from a company called iFixit. Now, both Louis and Jessa are Apple repair technicians, and iFixit is a company that produces the techniques to repair electronics, like phones and laptops, and then sells those techniques online. So I've talked quite a bit about these anti-repair practices, but give some examples, I hear you guys saying. Well, there's quite a lot, but I have shortened it to a small bit here. Overcharging for repairs, resulting in the devices being considered not worth fixing. That's a common complaint. And actually CBC over in Canada did a good video on Louis Rossmann's YouTube channel about they go in with a computer that has a bad screen. It's basically that the backlight isn't working, and then they say it'll cost over $1,000 to fix, and then when they actually bring it to Louis, they find it's just a bent pin, and he bends it back into position and it works fine after that. And he said he wouldn't actually charge for it. So there's countless of those stories going out there about devices being not worth fixing. The one that annoys people like Louis, who do these, because in his videos he shows a lot of the schematics. Companies like Apple copyright the repair manuals. So basically, when Louis does a video on showing the schematics and manuals that he gets from under the table, he gets issued a legal takedown order. And basically, companies like Apple, they don't want those repair manuals to be out there. They don't want third-party repair technicians to be able to fix them, these devices. But there's also some design features. Now, some of these are quite blatant, I'm not going to lie. There's the 5-point screw. It's like a flower shape. So instead of the 4-point that most of us have seen, it's actually 5 points. It's the pentaloop screw. And it turns out that actually Apple invented that screw for their computers. And it actually makes the device harder to open with standard screwdrivers. Another one is glued in batteries, which is kind of annoying because they don't need to be glued in. It actually makes it harder to replace the batteries because it's a nightmare to actually remove them, as iFixit have shown in some of the online videos. Now, this was another one. They pair the components to the motherboard of the phone. For example, a home button on an iPhone. So if a third party replaces a component like the home button, then the devices will actually stop working completely because the motherboard detects them. Or maybe that component won't work. So they're basically saying you can't fix your device. Even if someone else tries to, they won't be able to succeed because we're stopping them. It's kind of sad, really, isn't it? In my opinion, a lot of these anti-repair practices are opposed to private property rights. In particular, the area of private property called quiet possession. Now, for those of you who don't know, quiet possession is the idea, the right, that the purchaser of a product can do whatever they want to that product once it is purchased. So say I buy a DVD. Right. Quiet possession means I can do anything I want to that DVD. And I think quiet possession is a strong part of it because it gives you the ability to do what you want to the things you've bought. To be honest, I think that definitely includes repairing the damn thing. So what do the opponents of right to repair say? Well, they say several arguments. One is that right to repair legislation would harm businesses like Apple by forcing them to publish confidential company information. What do they think people are going to learn from the repair manuals? That their devices are put together the same way, in pretty much the same way every other device is. That doesn't even make sense if you even put a thought into it. Now, they also say that right to repair legislation would make it easier to duplicate electronic products. Now, I want to go at Apple again for this. That would make sense if they cared about that in the first place. The reason we know they don't, because there's a company called Goophone. Goophone duplicates the iPhone, and they actually make really good replicas. A friend of mine actually showed me one, and they're really. It's hard to spot the difference. Like, obviously, I don't think they have the Apple logo. That's the only difference. But one thing that's very clever, they run Android, but the Android operating system on these it has been skinned to look like iOS. So, and well, I'm not gonna lie, that's pretty impressive. But Apple hasn't gone after them, so it's pretty clear Apple doesn't care about these companies, and and from what I've seen, a lot of these companies aren't really that annoyed about duplication of the products because they don't go after them. To conclude, I support right to repair legislation, mainly because I believe you should be able to fix the devices that you own, that you have purchased. And another argument I'd say there's for right to repair is that being able to repair your devices would extend the lifespan of those devices, which will actually result in less tech waste being thrown out every year, which is pretty good for the environment. So I think that's an argument a lot of people don't think about when it comes to right to repair, but it kind of makes sense. The less tech waste there is, the less damage is done to the environment. It's an interesting idea, and it's something that definitely needs to be looked into. Well, I do hope America does implement it. Things have obviously been stopped and slowed down with the coronavirus, but hopefully they get back into it with right to repair laws. So what are your thoughts on right to repair? Share your thoughts with me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear them. If you like this video, hit that thumbs up button, and don't forget to subscribe to keep up with my latest videos. We should be able to repair the devices that we own, and it will result in less tech waste, which is a good thing. When we buy a device, we should at least be able to repair it. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.